Hello everyone. Welcome back to Sir Barkalot. As you may know, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, is a beloved superhero with a series of comic books known for their humor and bright colors. These comics are primarily aimed at a teenage audience rather than mature readers. However, just like other long-standing superheroes like Batman or Wolverine, Spider-Man also has darker-toned stories that deviate from the cheerful Spider-Man we're accustomed to. Famous tales such as the tragic loss of his girlfriend, Gwen Stacy, in The Night Gwen Stacy Died, showcase a different side of Spider-Man. Join Sir Barkalot as we explore some of the darkest storylines of Spider-Man from past to present. The first story we must mention is perhaps one of the greatest Spider-Man comics of all time, Spider-Man, Kraven's Last Hunt. Kraven's Last Hunt tells the story of Kraven the Hunter's final hunting expedition, one of Spider-Man's most notorious foes and a founding member of the Sinister Six. The story begins when Kraven the Hunter plots against Spider-Man, Peter Parker. He first shoots and incapacitates Peter, burying him in a coffin right within his own mansion. Kraven then decides to don the Spider-Man suit to prove that he has become a better Spider-Man than Peter ever was. While operating as Spider-Man, Kraven confronts another one of Peter's enemies, Vermin, a cannibalistic creature with traits of a sewer rat. After defeating Vermin, Kraven takes him back to his mansion and keeps him captive while Peter slowly wakes up and escapes from the coffin buried under 3 feet of dirt. However, when Peter finds Kraven, he doesn't fight back but releases Vermin to face Peter instead, unaware that Kraven himself is masquerading as Spider-Man and attacking him. Vermin violently attacks Spider-Man before Kraven intervenes once again and sets Vermin free. He helps Spider-Man to his feet and lets him go to apprehend Vermin. After witnessing Peter leaving his residence, Kraven is left alone in a silent room, where he finally picks up a rifle and ends his own life, leaving behind evidence for the police that he had impersonated Spider-Man during the time he had Peter buried alive. Recently, Marvel has continued the storyline based on Kraven's Last Hunt with an event called The Hunted. In this event, Kraven the Hunter enlists the help of another criminal, a high evolutionary, to create clones of himself as his own sons. After one of these sons eliminates the remaining clones and returns home, Kraven organizes a hunting expedition targeting criminals dressed as animals, including other enemies of Spider-Man like Rhino and Scorpion. Similar to Kraven's Last Hunt, at the end of the hunted event, Spider-Man and the other super criminals are set free. Kraven dons the Spider-Man costume and meets his demise at the hands of his last surviving son. Before passing away, Kraven the Hunter passes on his identity to his son and then dies. The second story we're going to talk about in today's video is Spider-Man, Sins Past. In the Black and Black era, it can be said that this is one of the darkest periods for Spider-Man Peter Parker, after he publicly revealed his identity as Peter Parker during the Civil War event. Sins Past tells the story of the discovery that his former girlfriend, Gwen Stacy, had returned to Norman Osborn in the past and had 2 twin children named Gabriel and Sarah Stacy. Norman knew about this and told them that Peter was their biological father. He was also responsible for the death of their mother, Gwen. So Gabriel and Sarah began to attack Peter. However, recently Marvel has rewritten the story between Gwen and Norman Osborn in Sins Past. The relationship between Gwen and Norman was not real, but rather a fake memory created by the supervillain Mysterio, orchestrated by Norman's own son, Harry Osborn. In the past, Norman made a deal with the demon Mephisto in exchange for success, and the price to pay was Harry's soul. When Harry became the Green Goblin, he teamed up with another enemy of Spider-Man, the Chameleon, to create clones of Gabriel Stacy and Sarah Stacy. He did this to manipulate the mind of his father, Norman. Harry Osborn worked with Melt the Storm and Mysterio to make Norman believe that he had a child with Gwen. However, Norman was not the only one implanted with fake memories. MJ also had false memories of Gwen's relationship with Norman under the guise of her psychiatrist. Therefore, although Sins Past is one of the darkest Spider-Man stories in history, it is only a stage set by Harry Osborn in the current timeline. The third story in today's video is Spider-Man, Reign. It is a comic book series inspired by Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. It tells the story of an aged Batman returning to action after many years of retirement. Instead of a heroic figure like The Dark Knight Returns, Reign depicts a future 30 years later where the streets of New York City no longer have superheroes or supervillains. Instead, New York is ruled by a new mayor, and Spider-Man, in Reign, begins in a dark tone where Peter Parker is no longer the Spider-Man of old but only an old man working in a flower shop. Throughout the story, the colors are dark and gloomy, and Peter is haunted by the death of his wife, Mary Jane Watson, who passed away after being exposed to radiation from his own body. If Batman, The Dark Knight Returns was haunted by the past, then Spider-Man, Reign returns with the help of Daily Bugle editor J. Jonah Jameson. Jameson desires Peter to become Spider-Man once again and provides him with his old suit, intentionally causing disturbances to attract the attention of the police force. This prompts Peter to decide to return as Spider-Man one more time. Upon realizing Spider-Man's return, the mayor of New York releases the Sinister Six, which is a future alliance of Spider-Man's enemies. However, before the Sinister Six can harm Peter, Dr. Octopus's tentacles intervene and bring Peter down to the grave with his wife. After facing his own demons from the past, Peter decides to overthrow the ruling power of New York and the police force known as the Reign. It is revealed that Edward Shark, the assistant mayor of New York, is Venom. He exerts his influence over the city's residents, manipulating their minds. The story concludes with Spider-Man, aided by Sandman, detonating a bomb to defeat Venom and put an end to a dark period in New York. However, it also opens up a new era with the emergence of a new generation of criminals in the city. The fourth story is considered one of the best Spider-Man stories. Spider-Man Shed is a dark tale that revolves around Spider-Man's battle with his archenemy, the Lizard. In this comic book series, Dr. Kurt Connors has a new job but still relies on medication to prevent transforming into the Lizard. However, things don't stop there as Kurt loses custody of his son, Billy Connors, and faces his son's rejection, which adds to his heartache. In his laboratory, he develops romantic feelings for a colleague, but upon discovering that his boss had slept with her, Kurt loses control. A mishap occurs when Kurt's assistant prevents him from using what he believes is a serum to transform into the Lizard. However, it turns out that the serum was meant to prevent the transformation. Due to his misunderstanding, Kurt undergoes a complete transformation into the Lizard and devours his assistant. After taking the life of his assistant, the Lizard embarks on a killing spree at his workplace before escaping. At the same time, Kraven the Hunter's daughter, who has taken up her father's mantle, kidnaps the Lizard's son and lures the Lizard into consuming his own flesh. After consuming his own son, the Lizard sheds his skin and becomes a more intelligent and cunning version of himself called the Shed. Witnessed by Spider-Man. The Shed initiates an invasion of New York by developing his psychic powers, stimulating the reptilian part of the human brain, leading to a massive rampage in the city. The city's inhabitants behave like animals. The story reaches its conclusion when Peter uses a photograph of Billy to awaken the humanity within the monstrous creature. The story ends with the Lizard leaving and establishing an underground empire within the sewer system of New York City. The final story in today's video is Spider-Man, the Spider's Shadow. It can be said that the Spider's Shadow is a what-if story. It takes place in an alternate branch. What if Spider-Man didn't give up the power of Venom? In the main universe, Spider-Man gave up the power of Venom, allowing it to merge with Eddie Brock and become one of his most famous enemies. But in this alternate timeline, Peter never gives up the Venom suit. This alternate event starts to influence Peter's mind more and more, making him more violent than ever. As a result, one of Peter's enemies, Hobgoblin Roderick Kingsley, follows him to Aunt May's house. The sudden attack by Hobgoblin leads to the death of Aunt May, causing Peter to lose control and take the life of Hobgoblin. The prolonged bond with Venom has made Peter increasingly violent and ruthless. He goes to the Daily Bugle office and assaults its owner, Jonah Jameson. He also causes the deaths of other supervillains such as Beetle, Scorpion, Shocker, and Kingpin. However, before dying, Kingpin reveals Spider-Man's identity to the police. Although Peter manages to remove the suit with the help of Jonah Jameson, Venom finds its way to the headquarters of the Fantastic Four and merges with Mr. Fantastic. With its own power and the intelligence of Reed Richards. Venom controls the minds of everyone in the building and creates a series of other symbiotes, causing them to merge with the Avengers and other superheroes. The story only concludes when Human Torch disguises himself as Peter and tricks Venom to follow him, then sets fire to destroy the symbiote. However, this comes at the cost of Mr. Fantastic's life. The story ends with Spider-Man becoming a new member of the Fantastic Four, alongside the Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and the Thing. And that concludes the top 5 darkest Spider-Man stories to date. If you know any other interesting stories, please comment below and let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to Sir Barkalot's channel to show your support. A big thank you to Marvel and DC for helping me complete this video. Goodbye and see you next time, everyone.